Okay, so I am so excited about this episode because I have a very special guest. The title of this episode is Finding Yourself Again, Healing, Self Trust, and Living an Authentic Life. How cool is that? So, hello everyone, and welcome to another inspiring episode of Fulfillionaire's File, where we bring you conversations with remarkable people who are making a meaningful difference in the lives of others. I'm your host, Maria Victoria Ferrer, and I believe that true fulfillment isn't measured only by success or financial security. It's also about emotional well being, healthy relationships, resilience, and becoming the person you were created to be. And today's guest has dedicated her work to helping people who feel overwhelmed, stuck, or disconnected rediscover themselves and move forward with confidence and hope. Whether someone is navigating a career change, recovering from trauma, rebuilding relationships, or simply searching for purpose, she provides compassionate guidance and practical tools that create lasting change. Please join me in welcoming our special guest, none other than Evangela Hayley. Hi, Evangela. Welcome to the talk show.
Hi, Victoria, and thank you so much for having me on.
I love her voice. It's so cool. And I, I wish I could have that voice, but my voice is a bit shrill, but it's okay. I know how to tone it down. So, again, thank you for being here. Let's
Absolutely.
begin with your story.
Okay.
Every coach, counselor, or excuse me, or helping professional has a personal journey that led them to this work.
Mhm.
Tell us about yourself. What inspired you to dedicate your life to helping others heal, grow, and reconnect with themselves?
Well, my story, started very early on. I experienced some pretty rough things in my childhood, traumas and things of that nature. And from very early on, I was a very empathetic and sensitive kid. I joke about the fact that in most of my pictures when I was very small, I'm crying, and
Oh,
my mom talks about me, just being a sensitive kid. But I experienced things when I was very young that instilled in me sort of this desire to help others and not to help them not to suffer in ways that I suffered. Didn't know what that would look like, had no idea the life that I was going to have to live in order
mm,
to get to a place where I could be able to offer not only my own story, but getting trainings, having conversations with people, and understanding what people really needed. And so a lifetime of ups and downs, struggles in relationships, struggles in communities, struggles with jobs,
mhm.
struggles with my own identity, and figuring out who I am and what it is that I really want in my life were I think Ram Dass calls it the grist for the mill for me to be able to land in a space where I'm able to sit with you and have this conversation as a recovery coach. For the longest, I just had no idea that it would come together in the way that it has to be able to offer my personal experience as well as my training to help people to really lean into who it is that they truly are in a very practical manner. You'll hear me talk about, just the practicality of healing, moving through transitions and growth. And that all is from my personal experience and actually doing the things that I support people in doing. So it's not just me standing on the mountaintop after I've arrived somewhere and saying, hey, you do this, you do this, you do that. I hop down in the valley with you and I show you the way up.
I love that.
Yes.
And Evangela, one thing I've noticed that people often look perfectly fine on the outside. They're
Mhm.
smiling, they're working, they're
Yeah.
raising family, especially when they're posting on social media. Oh, we ate
Yes.
this. We're so happy. We're a happy family. And
Yes.
then, a few months after, she committed suicide, or
Yeah.
she went through a divorce. Um, we know that inside they feel anxious, exhausted, disconnected, or
Yes.
simply lost. Why do you think so many people today feel stuck? And yet they're in denial.
Yeah. So you mentioned the social media piece. You
Yeah.
know, everybody posts their highlight reels on social media, and we have a
Mhm.
tendency to think that that highlight reel is the entirety of a person's life, and it simply isn't. And as we both know, a lot of people lie on social media. You know, they put up a front. They say they're doing all of these great things or they did all those great things for that moment. And then, you know, they go back to their regular life. And they also don't see, you know, all of the things that go on behind the scenes to get to that, oh, overnight success type of deal. They don't see the sweat and tears that people go through. And so the person that you described was me.
Oh,
Yes, the person that you described was me. You know,
wow.
for the most part, people look at me, even when they see me, I'm smiling, I'm going through life.
Mhm.
I'm accomplishing all the things that they think are important. I'm making more money, and all of this. And on the inside, I was dying.
Oh
I
my
was
God.
suicidal. I was having issues with
Mm.
addiction. I was completely unhappy and I was unable to step outside of that because I had no concept of stepping outside of the box of the things that I had been taught when I was younger. So, in the African American community, a lot of times, especially in the South, which is where I'm originally from, you don't go to therapy. You end up and this was in the when I got the help that I when I began my journey of getting the help that I needed was in the I was 37 years old. I'm
Mhm.
46 now.
You
But
don't look
the
it.
no,
Oh
thank
my
you.
God, you must be joking.
Thank you. And so all of the things that I was going through, people kept telling me that my answer was in the church. And
Mhm.
while I don't have any, you know, issues with, you know, people going to church and getting that
Yeah,
spiritual fulfillment that they
yeah,
need,
yeah, yeah.
the church didn't give me what I needed for my mental health. And in my own personal story, the church had also been a cause of a lot of the struggle that I had and had compounded that. And so I was walking around, you know, everybody thinking I had everything put together because a lot of people had also heard my story. And because I was not doing as badly as I was then, everybody thought everything was okay, including myself. And so some of those signs of when I was struggling and what I see with my clients when I'm working with them is isolation and hermiting is what I call it, you know, staying in the house. And this is beyond introversion where people enjoy being in their homes and things like that. Because I like being in my house because that's where all my things are and I'm comfortable and I'm safe. But if you're not getting out into life and experiencing it the way that you want to, that can be a sign that you're having some issues. Irritability,
Yeah.
inability to cope and focus on what it is that you used to enjoy, you know,
Wow.
inability to make a decision, unable to access happiness in the things that once brought you a lot of joy, you
So
know, and
true.
just a general avoidance of looking at yourself and your life and the things that you may have going on that are, you know, quite uncomfortable. You know, I
Mhm.
never never judge anybody
Yeah,
for, you know, wanting to
exactly.
avoid those hard and difficult things, but and I think we mentioned a disconnection from yourself. So it's just this sense of I can't connect with myself the way that I used to. I can't connect with others in the way that I used to, and life has lost its luster for you.
There you go.
You
Exactly.
know.
I totally believe. One phrase that immediately caught my attention was that your work is trauma informed. Many people have heard the term, but they may not understand what it actually means. Can you explain trauma informed care in simple
Yes,
language? How is
I
it
sure can.
different from simply giving advice?
Yeah. So when we talk about trauma informed care, so trauma informed care is a framework that a lot of people don't understand. So
Mhm.
the internet, social media, and things like that have sort of turned trauma informed into a stance that a person can have. But it is systems that have to be trauma informed. You have to have cultural humility. You have to have, you know, ethics in place to make sure that you don't re-traumatize people when you are trying to help them. So, you know, in the I mentioned cultural humility.
Yeah.
You have someone coming, into your coaching practice, and they have, they're a part of a group that has experienced historical trauma. you know, in your onboarding processes, what does it look like to make sure that you account for all the identities of the people who may come and work with you? If there's
Right.
someone in the LGBTQIA plus community, you know, are you able to address them in a way that does not, bring re-traumatization to them, exclusion and further marginalization? So it's really all about your systems and how you bring them into your coaching space. I do like to use the word trauma aware more when I'm talking about a stance that an individual practitioner, clinician, coach, or whatever has. And that means that you are aware of how trauma impacts people.
Mm-hmm.
You're able
Mm-hmm.
to see that the person that is sitting in front of you contains multitudes. They're multifaceted, and they may have experienced things that they don't even recognize as trauma.
Right.
And so, trauma informed, trauma aware, they work together. Your systems have to be trauma informed in order for you to say that, you offer trauma informed care, and making sure that you're taking care of the person that is sitting in front of you, and then being trauma aware and recognizing that those things don't stay outside of the coaching
Very
session, or
good.
the
Yes.
or the consultations. They come and they sit in the room with the person that sit in front of you, and they shape their ability to connect with what it is you're saying. And so you just have to be mindful of that, and recognizing it when it comes forward.
Yeah, I totally believe in that. And thanks for explaining it, Evangela. One area that really resonates with me is your work in helping people rebuild self-trust. Many
Mhm.
people lose confidence after divorce,
Yes.
losing a job, a difficult childhood, illness, betrayal, or
Yes.
simply years of putting everyone else first. How does
Yes.
someone begin trusting themselves again?
This is going to sound very, this is going to sound very simple, but this is the way that I give it to people. You learn to trust yourself again by trusting yourself again.
Right.
It is one of those action items that you have to take. You know, consulting, if you're in therapy, or if you're in a coaching session, or you have trusted, safe others around you, having those conversations with them about your ambitions and the things that you want to do. If you've had financial, exploitation or abuse, or you've been in poverty and things like that, it's very hard to trust that the money is going to be there when you need it, or even taking the opportunity to purchase or invest in something that is going to help you to be able to continue to grow and be the person that you want to be. Or sometimes you just want to take yourself out and have a nice steak dinner or something
Good
like that. And
time.
that
Yeah.
experience that you've had keeps you from leaning into that. And so it becomes a whole thing. And what you have to do is I tell people to start out small. What is that small step that you can take that is a little risky, but it's not you deciding that you're going to go and invest $5,000 or spend $5,000 on some retreat, that promises all of these things. And while it might deliver, it can be a challenge for you to invest that much right now.
Yeah.
So, what are the
Yeah.
small ways that you can choose to invest in yourself, to put that money forward? And what that does is over time, it retrains your brain, it retrains your nervous system that, hey, I can trust myself to make these right decisions. And in that conversation around self trust, a lot of people do focus on, how do I trust myself to make this decision?
Hmm.
I tell people, at some point in time, you have to pivot to be able to know that even if you do make a decision that doesn't have the outcome that you expected, that you're going to get through it, that you're going to know what to do, and that you've survived 100% of the financial struggles that you've had up to this point. Were they comfortable? No. Was it a struggle? Absolutely. But you survived them. And you have
Hmm.
more within you to be able to survive challenging times than you think. The brain's
Exactly.
job is to remind us of what was in order to keep us safe. We have to take the time through action, thought, and giving ourselves these corrective experiences of us making decisions, regardless of the fear that we have around them, so that life can show us, hey, I am for you.
Hmm.
You
That's
are
fascinating.
worth this. You can go after it. So, small steps. Take small steps, and as you gain more confidence and you're able to see, hey, I can do this, then bigger, more calculated steps.
Yeah. Now, I'm just curious, without sharing confidential details, I'd
Mhm.
love for our audience to hear about someone whose life was transformed through your work. Perhaps someone who came to you feeling completely stuck. What
Yeah.
was happening in their life? What changed? And what did they learn about themselves during the process?
So I had a client who was coming to me because they were trying to make a big transition, and not only with working life, but also in their personal life. They found themselves in a very unhealthy environment, and they weren't in a place where, they had a whole chunk of money that they could take and just up and move and, be rid of that. And so they felt very stuck in, I can't do this because I don't have the finances in place to be able to make the moves like I wanted to. And so
Mhm.
instead of jumping to, oh, how can we bring more money into your life right now? We had to deal with some mindsets. We had to deal with some thoughts around worthiness, and we had to go through a process of self discovery to see what this moving forward and this transition looked like for them. Because so often, we get caught up in what everybody else thinks it should look like.
Mhm.
You know, you got to go immediately. We can't hang around and stay in this situation any longer. And I had to break down with the client, are you in physical danger? Are you in
Mm,
emotional danger? Are
God.
you in psychological danger? And in each of those areas, they were not in any physical danger. Emotional safety was of a concern because they were in, gaslighting and all of those things and lots of arguments and stress in that way, but not in any physical danger.
Yeah.
And they were not in any psychological danger. And so we were able to sit down, go through this process of self-discovery to help them to understand what it is that stepping out on this could look like for them within the next 3 months. And so we started this process of putting down, goals. Within the next 3 months, I'm going to open up a savings account.
Mhm.
We started out very small, manageable amounts of money to put in there with each paycheck. And we started working that out. They met that goal within 3 months.
Mm.
Then we went back and revisited. Okay, what is this? What's our next set of goals? Where do we want to be in the next 3 months? We set that goal. And we took actionable steps each week to help them to be able to get to that goal. There were setbacks. You
Mm.
know, they realized that, okay, this is not something that I really want as far as this goes. Let's strike that off the list. Okay, what is it that we want to put in place of that? Or is there anything at all? And so it was a process of moving forward, assessing where we landed with that, looking at our goals again. Okay, is this goal still relevant for us?
Mhm.
And just working through that process with me going with them step by step, every step of the way, providing resources. There were times when I felt that they needed to, have a conversation with a therapist about some things because there were things that were, outside of my wheelhouse. And so what we did was we sat down, we made a list of the things that they wanted to discuss in therapy. And then that became a goal for that week. You meet with your therapist, have this conversation around, these issues that are a hindrance to what you're trying to do. And then we got right back into doing it. And we continued this process over, we 3 month blocks. And then we looked back over the year. We look back over the year, and they weren't able to jump out of that situation
Yeah.
within that year.
Wow.
But during that complete year, they were able to shift their mindset from I can't do this
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
I'm going to do this.
That's the most important thing, the mind shift.
Yes.
Wow.
And so we reset for that next year and reevaluated. And I was like, okay, do we want to continue doing, moving forward with this? Or do you feel like you're in a place where, you can handle this on your own? And they were like, well, I would like to keep going and
Mhm.
having your support until, I do move out. And within that next year, They were able to move out.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
They were able to move out, and it was all in small steps. I know you've heard the cliche, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And
Yeah.
a lot of people come into sessions with me and all they can see is the elephant.
Yes.
They can't see that you got to chunk it down, you got to do all this. And so I help them
Mhm.
to be able to consume that elephant
There you
one
go.
bite at a time, one step at a time, in a focused and forward-moving manner, dealing with setbacks as they come, and helping that person see that they're the ones taking action. They're the
Yeah.
ones that are making the decisions, and it's been in them all along.
It's their call.
Yes. And
It's
that's
their
that's one of the
call.
things that I do my best to emphasize to people. I am here with you in this journey. I do not tell you what to do. I ask you what it is that you would like to do. And then
That's
we move toward that.
yeah. Wow. So, Evangela, many people watching this interview may quietly be struggling.
Mhm.
Perhaps they feel broken, they're
Mhm.
overwhelmed, maybe they've lost hope. If
Yeah.
they're listening today, what would you like to say directly to them?
I would like to say that there is help out there for you. That contrary to what your mind may be telling you, you are not the only one dealing with what you're dealing with. There are resources, there's help, and there are people out there who know what it is that you're going through. They may not exactly understand because nobody can exactly understand what it is they're going through because they're not in your shoes. But they've been through it, they know how to support you in it, and they can help you right where you are. You don't have to be perfect. One day never comes, it's always today.
That's true.
It's
I
always today.
I
And
love
a
that.
30-minute conversation with myself or with a therapist or whatever professional, you decide to contact to get the help and support that you need, because there are various types of help out there.
Mhm.
A 15, 30-minute conversation can completely shift what you think is possible in your life. You'll
Yeah.
never get that help if you don't reach out for it. There are a lot of people out there who can help you to get to exactly where it is that you want to be. You just got to have the courage to step out. You can be afraid and still do it anyway.
Wow,
How
that's
many things in
amazing.
your life are you doing now that you absolutely do not want to do, but you do
Yeah,
it
exactly.
because you
Exactly.
recognize that there's a benefit.
Yeah, there's a
And
need.
so I encourage you to just make that first step of reaching out, saying, "Hey, I need help." Explaining your situation a little bit, and then allowing people to show up for you and doing what's necessary to support you in achieving the goals that you have for yourself.
Yeah, that's amazing. Where can people learn more about your work, connect with you, or begin working with you? Please share your website, social media, or any upcoming programs.
Absolutely. So my website is alchemyhealingandrecovery.com. And that has where you can go and book a free 30-minute consultation with me where we'll talk about, how I can support you and things like that, and then move forward, hopefully, into a relationship of empowerment and helping you to be able to reach your goals. I'm on all of the social media platforms except X. But I'm there, Alchemy Healing and Recovery Coaching. So you go in, I'm very responsive. If you pop in and you start following me and you say hi, I'm going to respond back. I also have a podcast myself. It's called the Complex Life Podcast, and I talk all things trauma, healing, and recovery in a very practical manner that helps you to be able to access and apply things right now.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Evangela, for joining us today. Your insights remind us that healing isn't about becoming someone else, it's about rediscovering who we truly are. Life will
Absolutely.
bring challenges. Some seasons leave us questioning ourselves. Some experience make us feel disconnected from our purpose. But today's
Yes.
conversation reminds us that no matter where we are, growth is possible, healing is possible, and a fulfilling life is still within reach. And to everyone watching, remember this: you don't have to stay stuck. Every
Absolutely.
small step toward healing is a courageous step toward the life you deserve. If today's conversation inspired you, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment so that what resonated with you most, we would know about it. I'm Maria Victoria Ferrer, and this has been another inspiring episode of Fulfillionaire's File, where every story has the power to transform lives. Thank you again, Evangela. And
Yes,
until next
absolutely.
time, continue growing, continue believing, and continue becoming the very best version of yourself. And God bless, and we'll see you in our next episode. So, bye for now until our next episode. Bye.